说句实话啊，所有的专家当中啊，对于印度议题怼得最让人解气的专家，不得不承认就是高志凯。这一次印度又要作妖了，印度要开始断巴基斯坦的水了，这件事情是不是似曾相识啊？我们先来看看高志凯先生到底是怎么对付印度这些专家的。
Why 2025? Why a treaty that has international guarantors? And what are the implications short term and long term if India continues with this hegemonic design?
Thank you. I think the IWT treaty itself is the gold standard, not only for India and Pakistan, but for the world. And for many decades, since 1960, it has served well, both India and Pakistan. And it should be fully respected and continued by the two parties. Now, what India tries to do is very dangerous. They are not only putting the IWT treaty in abeyance, they are actually making steps, taking steps to try to build the dam, to build the canal, to divert the water in the Indus River from flowing to Pakistan. And India has been calling about this for more than 1 year. And Prime Minister Modi has been declaring that he does not want to see any single drop of water to flow from the Indus River to Pakistan. Now, simply by threatening to do this is already very dangerous. Now, if India really takes concrete steps to implement this attempt, this will be a war crime. This will be a crime against humanity. Because I don't think any country, and in this particular case, India is in the midstream country as far as the Indus River is concerned, because much of the water originates from the Himalayas, which is in China. If India wants to deny water from the Indus River to the hundreds of millions of people in Pakistan, in my best judgment, it will be a war crime and it will be a crime against humanity. And I don't think international community, mankind as a whole, should ever tolerate this. But before India does that, before India causes imminent and huge harm to the hundreds of millions of people in Pakistan, we should all do our best to exhaust everything possible to make sure that the IWC treaty will be fully respected and abided by, and also maybe China and Pakistan can talk about how we can work together to preempt India from doing the wrong thing or from preventing India from doing the wrong thing.
Dr. Victor Gao, if you talk about China, that has been a steadfast friend for Pakistan, not since now but since decades, and this is a friendship that is time-tested and bound by decades of tradition, and it gets to strengthen itself with every passing day. Under the current circumstances, we've also heard statements from the Chinese side as far as, this upper riparian and the lower riparian is concerned, because India is playing the game of the upper riparian, lower riparian, and of course, with the Brahmaputra river also, China has the upper edge of the upper riparian, lower riparian as well. How important would the role of regional countries such as China be in the days to come if India continues with such designs?
Well, I think there are several dimensions to it. One is how India and Pakistan should deal with each other as far as the allocation and distribution of water is concerned in the Indus River. That's bilateral. That's purely within the IWT treaty framework. Secondly, considering that much of the water in the Indus River originates from Himalayas in China, maybe eventually we should have a tripartite arrangement rather than purely bilateral, involving China, India and Pakistan to better deal with the distribution and the allocation of water from the Indus River. Thirdly, the third dimension is that much of the water in India actually originates from the Himalayas, from the what we call Tibet Qingdao Plateau, the big plateau, up north, and not only Brahmaputra, but the Ganges also has lots of water originating up north. True. Therefore, I think maybe we should have a regional, sub-Asian regional framework involving China, India, Pakistan, and Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, you name it, to come up with a more larger and regional framework of the codes of conduct as to how to deal with this issue. Now, on an even larger scale, I understand that up to about 18 countries in this part of the world receive water which originates from the Tibetan Qinghai Plateau. 18 countries involving more than 4 billion people in total. So I think maybe eventually we should have a larger regional framework talking about the code of conduct, the allocation of water, how we can do to better monitor the receding or the melting of the glacier up north on the high mountains, for example. How can we better allocate the distribution of the water eventually? So there are many things to be considered and to be done eventually. But of immediate urgency is how to prevent India from putting into execution what they threatened to do, to deny the flow of the water from the Indus River to Pakistan. That will be imminent harm, a very large harm, and sometimes it may even cause irreversible harm. So India should be stopped from doing the wrong thing, and the IWT treaty clauses and the provisions should be strictly abided by. On the other hand, I think maybe Pakistan should also consider hiring the best lawyers in the world to exhaust all the legal process to make sure that India will be facing very dire consequences if they dare to put this into execution.
Ishaq Dar Sahab, our Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, calls this hydro hegemony because he also talks about the designs that India has on stopping the water of so many rivers by creating small dams over the course of the years. Isn't this a very dangerous precedent that is being set? If it is set in letter and spirit, won't this give the opportunity to so many other countries to do whatever they want, despite any treaty that is present between two countries?
Exactly. If you look at our part of the world as well as globally, rivers, especially major rivers, actually flow from one country to another, etc., upstream, midstream, downstream, etc., before they feed into the ocean. So this is the normal thing, and how to manage the flow of the water, distribution of the water should be absolutely the important thing. And no country should be allowed to stop the flow of the water, to deny the flow of the water to the lower reaches, to deny the access of water to hundreds of millions of people. My concern is that India wants to do this for geopolitical purposes. They want to put maximum pressure on Pakistan to try to force Pakistan to bow or to kowtow to India so that they can serve their hegemonistic and geopolitical purposes. This should not be tolerated because India should not be playing around as if it is the ultimate ruler of the Asian subcontinent, and everyone, including China, which sits up north on the Tibetan Qinghai Plateau, should work closely with Pakistan in dealing with this imminent harm that India may want to cause for the people in Pakistan.
Last question, Dr. Victor Gao. You talked about legal avenues that Pakistan needs to. You said Pakistan needs to hire the best of the lawyers. Pakistan has a very solid framework, but the Permanent Court of Arbitration also has taken Pakistan's side not once, but more than once. Do you feel that the legal mechanisms that decide the fate of issues such as the Indus Waters Treaty are important enough? Should Pakistan continue relying on the Permanent Court of Arbitration, on the United Nations for a judicial solution to this, or are there other solutions that could be put into place if India does not understand this very aspect?
Absolutely. I think exhausting all the legal avenues and possibilities will be crucially important. However, only resorting to legal procedures may be either time consuming or it may be disrupted one way or another. And if you really believe that India will take concrete steps to start to deny the flow of water in the Indus River to Pakistan, you may not be able to wait for too long. So while proceeding with all the legal remedies, which will be absolutely important, you may also need to think about alternative arrangements to deter India from other means from executing what they threaten to do. I think their goal has already been very explicit because India has been talking about denying the flow of water in Indus River to Pakistan. The Prime Minister Modi, had threatened not to allow the flow of any single drop of water to Pakistan.
Recently also Minister has said the same.
Exactly. So this is not fake. This is not exaggerated or fabricated.
This is a design.
This is a design. This is a very clear-cut, well-defined roadmap and action. So I think nobody should take this in complacency. Immediate actions need to be done to stop India from doing the wrong thing and from causing imminent harm and ravaging the fundamental interests of the hundreds of the millions of the people in Pakistan.
This is my very last question. I already thought it was the last, but when you say alternate measures, immediate measures that to be taken, what do you have in mind?
Well, my concern is that India holds itself as the real upstream country as far as the Indus River is concerned. My understanding is not. It's not, because the water really comes from up north in the Himalayas and it feeds into different tributaries which eventually feed into the Indus River. So it definitely has a China dimension to it, but the IWT itself is a bilateral treaty between India and Pakistan.
With guarantors.
Yeah, with guarantors, of course. Eventually, I think if we have the luxury to think about either amending the treaty or expanding the treaty, etc., maybe it should move from bilateral to trilateral, involving China, India, and Pakistan together, to make sure, and in addition to all the guarantors, etc. So that probably will be a better way. Now, the other thing is, as I emphasized, almost all the rivers in the northern part of India originates from the Himalayas, from the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau. So definitely, if India wants to do this to Pakistan, according to the 2,500-year-old Chinese philosophy, if India wants to do this to Pakistan, maybe the real upstream country, that is China, may do the same thing to India. So this will cause a vicious circle, which is not pleasant. And I hope that prospect in itself may actually help deter India from doing the wrong thing to start with. So if it is purely between India and Pakistan, you have one momentum. But if eventually it will involve India, Pakistan, and China, the real upstream country, if I may use that term, it may change the dynamics.
All right.
Causing a new momentum. Yeah.
I think a new momentum is what is required as far as this Indus Waters treaties putting into abeyance is concerned, and you've put a lot of options on the table, and I'm sure Pakistan is viewing that and many other options, and with a partner, a friend like China on its side, I'm sure everything is achievable when it comes to making India understand what it has done and what it has done wrong. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Gao,
Thank
and
you so
thank you
much.
very much for your time.
那好好的，为什么印度要断巴基斯坦的水呢？这次争端的导火索是什么呢？直接原因就是2025年4月份的恐袭事件。这次事件呢，至少有25名游客死亡。印度就说了，这是巴基斯坦参与的，所以宣布将印度河用水条例暂停执行，作为报复措施。那要断的水是什么水呢？这是一份涉及到1960年由世界银行签署的印度河用水条例。它被视为国际水资源治理的经典成功案例，连之前的战争都没有打断它。条例规定6条河分为东西两组，东部3河 包括这个萨特莱杰河、比利斯河、拉维河是归印度的。那西部的3河呢，像这个印度河、杰赫勒姆河、杰纳布河，绝大部分用水量是归巴基斯坦使用的，印度只允许进行有限的水电开发。所以对于巴基斯坦来说 80% 的水量是国家的命脉，全国呢 90% 以上的农业产出都是依赖这个系统的， 80% 的耕地灌溉是靠它的，所以断水基本上等于断粮。那双方的这一次过招，问题就来了，印度你单方面暂停执行65年历史的印度河用水条约，你有问过中国吗？你觉得中国不会管吗？中国管这件事情啊，核心只有一句话，不是在管别人家的事，是在坚守自己的战略要地。具体原因有3层，第一层就是最直接的，盟友在求救，对吧？必须稳固后方。巴基斯坦是中国的全天候战略合作伙伴，国家命脉被掐，向中国求救，不可能坐视不理。更何况中巴经济走廊有大量的基建和能源项目，巴基斯坦社会动荡，直接的损害就是中国的真金白银的海外利益，所以这是最直接的。那第二点呢，最紧迫的是什么？家门口不能被你炸呀，对吧？印巴一旦因断水开战，难民潮、极端势力渗透都会直接冲击中国西部边境稳定。中国历来不希望南亚生战生乱，管这件事本质是在给自己维护一个和平的周边环境。那最深层次的是什么呢？拿回水权博弈的筹码啊，在雅鲁藏布江等跨境河流上，中国是上游，印度是下游。这次印度拿断水当武器，中国必须在外交和法律上明确反对这种水资源武器化的行为，因为一旦默认印度可以这么做，未来中印间若有分歧，印度很有可能拿中国在上游的水电开发说事。现在坚决管呢，是为了堵住印度未来要拿水要挟中国的嘴。所以简单来说，就是道义上要挺朋友，利益上要保走廊，战略上要立规矩。基于这3点，你说中国能不管吗？